shooters. Money is definitely important, but to the point it could buy happiness? No, I don't think so.
Can money buy happiness? Yeah, of course. You work to get paid, and with that money that you get paid, you do your hobbies, you buy certain things that you want.
Can money buy happiness? Yes, money can buy happiness. Money can lift you out of poverty. It can feed you, it can clothe you, it can put a roof over your head, and it can help you get better when you're sick. If you can afford medicine, you can afford access to hospital.
Hi! Shooter asked, can money buy happiness? I think yes, because while money isn't necessary for happiness, I think having money will definitely make you feel happier.
Shooters asks, money can decrease your problems, right? It can help a lot. It can take away stress, but I don't think you can say it can buy happiness.
Well, coffee and a card, thank you. I think no, because I grew up with a South American thinking of that money can really not buy you happiness. Happiness is family, happiness is food. Really simple things in your life will make you happy, not money.
Welcome to the show, shooters, and welcome, shooters.
Hi.
Hello.
Especially Marjorie, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay. Well, money makes the world go round. They also say money is the root of all evil. What about money and happiness? Researchers have been studying this question, and they've come up with some conflicting results. One study says that money can indeed buy happiness and lower distress, while another says that it can increase your chances of buying more stuff, but actually decreases your ability to enjoy those same things. So this week, shooters will be tackling the same question. Can money buy happiness? Guys, what do you think? Your initial thoughts?
Well, I read that study when it first came out. That's pretty recent, right? Like a month or two ago, it made pretty big waves in the press. And I thought it made sense because I think, like, Americans in general, I think try to emphasize that money cannot buy happiness. But I think they all kind of want to find out for themselves if that's true or not.
Wait a minute.
You know what I
the
mean?
U.S. actually wants to say that you can't buy happiness with money? The big capitalist?
I think that's the,
really
it's totally the capitalist center, but I think people often will use that as a cover-up because Americans know that you shouldn't say that money can buy happiness, and they don't want to teach their kids that money can buy happiness. So when I saw that study come out, I kind of thought, well, this is an interesting way of looking at it, and that kind of rang true for me.
Yeah, so in Sweden, when we reach for happiness, we have the 3 V's in Swedish, which is villa, Volvo, vovve. And it means...
Sounds cool.
Those are 3 words? Okay.
So it means house, Volvo, and a dog. And that is what we want to reach for. We don't want to be like, I never grew up with the thought of like, I have to be rich. I would be content and happy if I have my house, my Volvo, and my dog.
But house and Volvo are technically quite expensive, right?
Not in Sweden.
Okay.
What type of dog do you want?
It's whatever that says vov vov.
Another V. Woof, woof.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny because in America, back to what I was saying, I think people want to be able to say what you just said. People think that they should be able to, right, on a philosophical level.
Yeah.
But in real life, what you see in America is the struggle and everyone trying to make that American dream, like the capitalist dream, right? So I think, like, I'm sure you guys all feel that in the countries that you're from too. So I think Americans really kind of feel the tension there.
I think, for instance, I do subscribe to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So at the bottom of it, you should at least have enough money to feel secure or to meet your physiological needs. So that will be housing, food, clothing, And then the next level would be security. Because I feel that, fine, you've met your physiological needs, your need to survive, but if you're not secure, I don't think you're going to be happy. Like if you don't feel secure enough to be able to leave a job that you're unhappy with, for instance, then I think there needs to be an additional level of happiness, more than just, getting out of poverty.
I kind of really do agree with her. Poverty causes depression and stress, I would say. I mean, the more you have, you feel more relaxed. I mean, there's a song by Aloe Black that goes, I need $1, $1, that's all I need. Yeah! Everybody needs money to have a happier life, I believe. It's been around since the long time ago, Stone Age. People needed to pay for things, people needed to earn, and then, I just believe the more you have, the comfortable you will live.
So Sweden seems to be the only country so far where
I think
money is
Algeria
not
too.
guaranteed. Okay.
Because people don't seem to have the stress, like they don't always want to get more money. I feel like in Algeria there is a certain contentment with what people have. So basically, if you get your first job and you feel like you have enough money from that job, you don't look for another one. People don't even want to get a promotion, like if they already have enough money.
Okay.
It's like that's why people are just living a relaxed life. They don't get the stress because they want more money or because they want a promotion to get more money. So if you have enough to live, to feed your family, that should be enough, I suppose.
Now, what about the UK example, where it's quite expensive, isn't it?
That's right.
Cost of living.
The cost of living in the UK is very expensive, and I think we have some of the same problems as America. So lots of people in Britain, Scotland and England and Wales, they're kind of obsessed with this idea of class movement, of being able to move up the ladder to getting out of your lower class background or your working class background or your middle class background. So I think this idea of being able to climb up the ladder, this keeping up with the Joneses idea is very much a part of British society. So I think money is a big obsession for a lot of people.
I do want to mention South America though. When you were talking about music, in South American music, you always sing about happiness being family and food. So I think that's the mentality in South America. If you have family, then you're happy. That's like the center of South American culture.
But
in
if you can't
America, songs are about money.
Exactly.
Right? Especially for the past 20 years,
Yeah.
right? In hip hop especially, but or
love
just
hip-hop.
or moving up, right? Like that's
Bling
a
bling,
huge theme.
money.
Yeah, when was the last time you didn't see money in the music video? Like flashing that off and all the girls are dancing. Come on, like I agree with you. Every music videos in America, all the media is about wealth. The more money you have, the cooler cars you got, you're spending giant loads of bags of money. People look at you as like the higher class and they respect you. But but do they look happy all the time? Are they smiling all the time? I'm sure they want to show off that they got.
So are they in South America with their families?
Oh, I'm sure they got families to feed off too.
Well, how much money do you think you need to take care of the basic needs so that you don't have to worry about money and you've got enough to be able to spend money when you do want to spend money? For the advanced countries, I mean, there's one study from the University of Warwick, and an economist said that £50,000, so I guess maybe that's about $80,000, it'd be the general level where your happiness would go up. But if you have an extra £100,000, you'd be able to reach your maximum level of happiness. I don't know how you think about this.
I thought that was the study that I had talked about at the beginning that I thought was interesting, because that seems like quite realistic for in the States as well, the amount that you would need to be able to live comfortably and be able to afford some luxuries, be able to afford some time, like switch your job if you want to, have enough money to invest in yourself.
Would it be enough for you, Danny? Do you think you'd be very happy with about 150,000 or?
Sure, especially as a single guy. As a single guy, definitely.
It's enough.
And I think, as a single person, definitely. And but again, I think in America, the way the system is set up, like Charles was mentioning, this is what everyone in the country sees. Is what the music, the movies, what on TV, what's marketed to us is kind of like a limitless, unattainable level of wealth, right? So I think it depends on what story you're buying into.
But
so
isn't it something that most people, I mean, general, not, people who aspire to be musicians or sports stars, like the regular, ordinary people, do they actually look at that and say, I want to become like that too? Or is it just something you see on TV, And is that actually considered a little gauche?
Let me drop the bomb on the
it's just
table,
entertainment?
seriously. If the producer was nice enough to say, everybody gets paid $10,000 per show,
I wouldn't mind.
I don't mind
That'd be
either.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good idea, right? Can we do that, please? She's
But
not
Charles,
answering.
are you saying that most people would see that on TV or those images, you know, people throwing around money and say, "Oh, gosh, I wish I could be like that. I'd be so much happier."
Like when we were in college, one of the things was like you have to be a millionaire by age 30, and that's like,
Wow.
like it's like if you don't make it by that point, it's like okay, then fine, I'll settle for the minimum amount. But yeah, but
How
there's
many
this-
actually achieve that dream of
well,
becoming
I
a
think
millionaire?
that was the standard. Was that it was a point where you know you can work hard, you work hard enough, like, and you can be a millionaire at this point.
Right.
And that was like everyone was striving for that. So everyone was like, okay, like off to the races.
So they weren't studying because they were interested in the subject. They wanted to become millionaires.
No, it's not that, but it's sort of an expectation that after college you're supposed to be, you know, immensely successful.
But that's
That was like the dream. Like everyone believes that at the very least is that it's something to aspire to. You know, it's not necessarily something that you will get, but it's sort of like a standard. Like, okay, you should at least strive for
Right,
that.
your salary is one way to sort of measure outwardly success when we think about that. But whether that success leads to more happiness and satisfaction, that's a different question. We've actually been putting the question to our viewers online and asked them to vote on this question. So let's take a look at the results right now. So the online poll results show that 36.7% said yes, money can buy happiness. And so that's the majority for the no, 63.3%. Let me just read some of the comments that we received. From Vietnam, someone said, Nguyen91 said, while money can satisfy our basic needs and personal interests, it doesn't guarantee we'll be happier if we have more money. There's a difference between satisfaction and happiness, and feeling satisfied doesn't necessarily mean feeling happy. So what do you think about these results?
I think sometimes people are scared of saying that out loud, that money maybe can buy you happiness. Because you might seem a little bit, I don't know, cocky.
Shallow,
Yeah, shallow.
materialistic.
Saying that
it
out
sounds
loud.
like that. But again, what I said at the beginning, though, like everyone would say that, but they want to find out for themselves. Like everyone wants, like Charles said, like everyone would want that check. Everyone would want that gift. So I mean, I think anyone given that survey would be gun shy, right? They wouldn't. They probably
So you're
wouldn't
saying
want
you
to
don't
say.
believe the results of this online poll? They weren't being honest? Is that what you're saying, shooters? Is
You
that what
can
you're
tell
accusing
that.
our viewers?
I asked around my friends in the beginning, they were all just like, of course not. And they were discussing like, yeah.
See, that's the point. Like, you want to look nice, you want to be shallow, you want to hide around that
You
little
don't wanna be
shadow.
shallow.
You know what I mean.
I know. I'm just for your sake.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just helping you out.
Five you too.
I'm just helping.
Yeah. But when it comes to them having enough and they feel more, like you said, safety, secure, and enough, and you're good for another 10 years without any worries. I'm not gonna lie to anyone that nobody's going to be unhappy. Everyone's going to be happy when they have more, when they have enough. If you have a table filled with food and they're never gonna get old, you can eat that all the time and you spent it. Everything that we earn, we have to spend money for it. Like, and you earn that money and more you have, you want more. You just can't stop buying things if you have more.
But don't you think that maybe we want more money just because we need it? Because obviously we can't live without money. So whether it makes you happy or not, you will need that money. That's why you work for it. But that doesn't mean that everyone who gets more money is going to be happy.
Let's say somebody moves onto a mountain. I don't need money, I don't want money, but I'm gonna move out to woods. I'm gonna cut the trees and make a house. To go to that wood,
Yeah, there is
you
already
need money to go
people
there.
like this.
You need money to go there. And to have some supplies, some like axes and woods. Are you gonna make those axes by yourself, like Stone Age time? No, you need to buy certain
Well-
things to even like move out there.
well,
You
I think-
need money.
You need
That's
it, but does make you happy necessarily.
But I think we have to recognize that money does buy happiness. It buys lots of things that make us happy. Money in and of itself, or being obsessed with money and having to think about it all the time, that idea of keeping up with the Joneses, that doesn't make us happy. But there are things that we can do with money which definitely do make us happy, and having a little bit more money can make us happy. I can remember when I was 19 years old and I just left home for the first time and I was living in London, this constant feeling of insecurity, you know, of checking the price tags in the supermarket and wondering, you know, can you pay rent? And this idea of constantly stretching your funds to make ends meet it's just this nerve-wracking experience. But when you start earning a little bit more money and those concerns aren't in the forefront of your mind all the time, that makes a huge difference to your overall sense of enjoyment of your life.
But
your
Barry, if
general
I may
happiness
ask,
of
like,
your life.
were you unhappy in your beginnings in London? Did that make you unhappy?
It was incredibly stressful.
Stressful.
So
Because
a lot of the time, it was. I was.
Well, when you're
unhappy.
stressed, it's hard to be
Yes.
happy.
yeah, but it's normal. it's normal to be stressed because from my experience when I moved here to Korea, my first year basically I was living with less than 300,000 won a month, and that's stressful. But I was happy with my decision. I was happy living here. So the stress, I knew from the beginning that it's gonna be part of my life, at least in the beginning. So it didn't really make me unhappy.
Yeah, but then you have an expectation that things will change because you can't live
I
with
wasn't
just
sure.
that.
I wasn't
But it's
sure.
also the novelty of the experience.
Yes.
Research has shown that when you're faced with something new and your anticipation, your hopes and expectations will actually make you feel happier than
Exactly.
you feel you are.
So it's not always related to the money.
Right.
It could be like the experience
good point.
itself.
And also, wealth brings about a whole new array of problems. There's greater responsibility. There's greater stress. There's more people.
That's another stress.
You're always going to be responsible for more people. The more money you have, you're going to be providing jobs for people. There's more people looking to you for
Yeah,
help.
like
There's more people asking
Biggie's
things.
song, "More Money, More Problems."
Right.
Yeah, but he
And
dead.
any
He
wealthy
dead.
person will tell you that, especially I'm speaking of wealthy people who earned that money on their own, like non-inherited money, people who built businesses to put themselves in that position. In that case, you're looking at a whole new
But
new
there's
type of
also
stress, right?
something that you get from working on it, like the success that you get. There's a certain
Sure.
satisfaction from it as well. That's not just about acquiring money, but the process of acquiring money as well. So I don't think that's necessarily bad. And in terms of reaching a certain level, there's a decreasing returns. In economics, it's all about maximizing your purchases. Actually, economics is all about money, but there's a certain level that your returns for your spending is going to be smaller. Like
Right.
so I think that. Plus, I always it was a joke, but it's true in a sense that if I'm a rich person and I'm sad and I'm miserable, I feel like okay, money is making me miserable. I can choose not to spend money. But if I'm a poor person and it says well, I'm poor, I don't want to be poor anymore. I want to
Right,
be
your
rich. You don't
option.
have that option.
I'd like to see
right,
Barra's response to that, but I see that the debate is getting a little bit more serious right now, so it might be a perfect time to head for the armories. It's time to get the guns out. So let me ask you how you stand with the issue, can money buy happiness? Who believes, yes, you can buy money?
Yes.
Happiness with money.
Really? Oh man, I'm surprised that you
The
would do this.
teacher, the professor,
Luxury
this
goods
should
are
be
not
very
worth it, brother.
interesting. Okay, so it's set, yes and no. The yes team will go to our right and the no team to the left. It's time to gear up and get ready. Shooters.
Huh, that was a sign that you followed me on Facebook. No wonder. You knew I was gonna say this. Nothing really negative about having more money.
The more money you have, to
The
a certain
more
extent, then you have a greater degree of freedom.
You can focus more on what you actually want from life.
So we can spend money on experiences.
Actually donating enough money for the World Vision and UNICEF as well.
But if you've got money, you have that security net.
Richer people are more empowered.
Ask a rich person who has known poverty if he was happier, rich or poor.
It's not like measuring height or weight or like counting money. You can't really measure happiness.
Stop being shallow and greedy.
Right. Everyone knows that money doesn't buy happiness.
achievement does not equal money.
It is so shallow. It doesn't take into account anything to do with emotions. It doesn't take into account anything about the spiritual side. It's quantitative.
Sometimes people focus too much on making a living, they forget to make a life.
So shooters, are you armed and ready?
We are.
Okay, very good. Well, from now on, any changes in your opinions will be tracked by our gauge. Everyone begins at 100% convinced of your own team's opinion, but every time the opposing team says something persuasive or even reasonable, you will press on the minus button. And if your own teammate says something persuasive, of course, you can press on the plus button. Only the viewers and I will know where your gauges stand. All right, and if you're ready, we're going to begin with the yes team, as always. If you'd like to give your opening statement on why you believe money can buy happiness.
Well, we think that if we're being realistic, then we have to accept the fact that money can and does buy happiness for several very important reasons. So the first reason that we want to mention is basically that money can lift you out of poverty, okay? So money can meet your basic needs as a human being, and having money can help you meet those basic needs, which we think is just a fundamental fact. But then there's also other very important reasons why money can buy happiness, okay? So in terms of health, money is obviously very important. In terms of having a security net, should anything bad happen to befall you, should some calamity, some disaster happen to you, money can give you a security net that you know is there and can improve just the general quality of your life and therefore your happiness.
Freedom and control over your life. That's what I want to say on top of what amazing Barry just said.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Charles. It's a pleasure to be on the same
Teaming up now, brother.
What a solid team. Were you done, Barry, or do you have...
Well, I think that's exactly right what Charles
Okay.
said. So self-determination, money as well gives you the chance for self-determination, which is a very important factor in the individual's happiness. And it can empower you in all sorts of different ways. So it can empower you in terms of education, it can empower you in terms of your career choices, it can empower you in terms of where and how you want to live your life. So as much as it's not a fashionable argument, and as much as it might go counter to the more romanticized notions of how life and happiness and money work, I think that realistically and pragmatically, we have to accept that money does, in many cases and in many ways, buy happiness.
That was a beautiful speech.
Okay, thank you, Charles.
That's
Thank you, Barry.
very beautiful and very shallow. And I
okay,
think
let's hear the
any
new
viewer
argument.
knows that, and I think our stance isn't fashionable. I don't think it's fashionable. I think it's realistic. Like, yes, money can lift people out of poverty, but wealthy people, they face the same challenges that non-wealthy people face. Wealthy people can have health issues. Wealthy people can have money issues. Wealthy people have stress issues. They can have love problems, family problems. It doesn't actually buy you out of problems. So I think that first point right away is off the table. Secondly, you're talking about self-determination. I mean, if you're living in a country that's a free country, you don't need money to be free, right? So
Just to address
if you guys want to add to that.
Yes, it's time to make your statement right now, so...
Yeah, not all people who got out of poverty, who become rich, are happy. That's obvious, I guess. Like, you can't even say that it's not true, because we see a lot of people like, let's take the owner of Samsung Group. What was his name?
Lee Gun-hee.
Exactly that guy.
Gun-hee?
Like we have heard about a lot of two of his children, or one daughter. She committed suicide in 2005. So if she was happy, and obviously she was rich, I heard she had like 150 million US dollars. So that should make her happy if your arguments were right. But she wasn't, and she committed suicide.
So just as the last part to our statement, we think it'd be very helpful if you think about what are your best memories in life. What are the things that stand out to you the most during your time on Earth so far? For us, usually I don't remember when I got my raises. For me, it wasn't when I got the most amount of money. For me, it was moments with people, it was memories, it was traveling, it was accomplishments. But I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember. The thing that sticks in my mind is not when I got
Well,
pieces
maybe
of
you
money.
just didn't have enough money.
No.
No?
This is also...
Then-
Well, I guess not, because the things that I remember aren't that, you know. And I don't know if any of you guys remember that. I don't know if you would put that up against, like, when you proposed or when you when you graduated school or when you
there
traveled
was
for
a
the first
study
time?
that was done in Europe, which was made on cancer sick patient and people who were about to die, and they asked them about their life, things they regret, and the
Yeah,
most of,
famous list.
Yeah.
the biggest
Yeah.
thing they regret is caring too much about working overtime and not to live life. Really, if they could change one part of their life, it was to live life more and work less and cherish all these small things like having a cup of coffee with your best friend, going to a really good musical, those little things that does not always involve money.
If I had cancer, the one thing I'd regret is not having enough money to get the best cancer treatment that the world could offer, regardless of how much money that was.
Well, this is Sweden.
And
if you take
let-
Sweden as an example,
Yeah.
basically they have good hospitals and it's
Exactly.
free, so you don't have to worry about
Good
that.
free hospitals. I believe earlier on today
go to
you
Sweden.
were complaining about the quality of hospitals.
Let's not talk about
Sweden.
past shows. You were complaining about luxury goods last time. Okay, so
Sorry, you were
However,
saying.
I wouldn't necessarily buy some luxury goods. However, like you were saying, best memories, okay? I can clearly remember when I had one of my first jobs after graduating, and I got, towards the end of my first month of employment, I got £1,000 bonus. And it remains one
That's a
of the
big bonus.
most indelible memories etched into my mind, okay? And it made such a drastic change in my perception of the world. It was the first time in my life, from leaving Scotland, being a poor student, and graduating university, that I had some money, and the options that it gave to me, the way that I could interact with the world and the things that I could do was a complete change of my life.
Well,
would you
very
say
good.
that's
Revolutionized
What
how
did
I
you
thought.
do with that £1,000? Was it the thought of what you can do with that made you happy? I mean, what did you do with the £1,000?
I think you've hit a very important nail on the head there. That idea of expectation, okay, expectation and the experiential pleasure that money can give you. The money itself isn't the goal. And if you get caught up in that, obsessing about money, that's toxic. But what you can do with that money, the experiences that are available to you, I think that's a very
You know what?
important
Let me add on
fact.
top of that. Big money, you know. For example, you said there was a big bonus, right? I don't think so. Let's talk about lottery here.
For broke students, yeah.
Barry was feeling
That's a
very
big
good
bonus.
about that experience.
No, I'm talking about happiness, though. I'm
Let's
talking
talk about
happiness,
lottery.
though.
Okay.
We're completely different, but then about the experience.
Talk
Let's
about the
say
lottery.
you bought the lottery, right? And you look at the numbers and you lost it. You're like, man, it was only $5, whatever. It was fun. But you look at your ticket and you look at that TV or the newspaper and it says 7. Oh, 8. Oh man, I got 8. 21. And then all those numbers match up and boom, you won that $12 million. And you know what you're gonna do? We're gonna dance around and jump around and get that money flowing all up in the air. You can do whatever you want with that money. The things that you have never done in your life. Your family's sick, take care of your family. You want a bigger house? Buy a bigger house. You have 7 members in a family. You talked about family, girl. I know in South America you got a lot of families around
Okay,
there.
sit down.
I'm gonna talk wherever I want, but let me ask you. If you
64 cousins.
64 cousins, buy them a bigger house. Let them run around instead of like sleeping all in a corner like this. Have a comfortable life.
They're not sleeping in corners.
I'm talking about 64 family in one room.
What
So,
would make you happy?
I'm
Do you-
And then hold on a second.
You have more to say?
Are the rich people only ones who are committing suicides?
No, they're not the
point.
only one.
Yeah.
I'd like to start
Lottery.
because I'm glad you brought up the lottery.
Woo, they feel good.
Because yeah, your little ring around the rosy
It
there
wasn't little.
proves
It was
a little
pretty
bit of a
big one.
point. Because a lot of studies have been done on the lottery in the past 20 years, and all of these studies show the same thing. When people win the lottery, they get excited, just like you got excited, just thinking about it.
Oh, just thinking about it.
Right?
Happy.
Even winning it.
But in these studies, after a year, people's happiness levels all go back down to the happiness level that they had before, or slightly above or slightly less. But basically, it shows a happiness spike where they're feeling it, right? None of us would deny that. I wouldn't deny that. But then happiness goes back to the same level. So I'd like to take that and kind of move into another argument of mine.
But Danny,
so
sorry,
after,
you still had 1 year of extreme happiness, no?
I mean, ask a rich person who has known poverty.
okay, fine. But I don't know if the lottery, how often is that going to happen for us, and if that.
Okay.
And also, just to segue into another point, people's happiness levels. I think it was you that mentioned it. Over the course of people's lives, a lot of studies have been done showing that the general level of happiness that people have on a biological level stays pretty much the same throughout life, regardless of external circumstances. So to say that money will actually buy it, and using lottery as an example, which is totally
That's a
shut
luck
down
right
by
there.
like every
That's not
study
shut
out
down,
there.
That's just some luck. But
That's not, the studies aren't luck.
Dude,
The studies,
studies are
did you hear what I just said though? it totally disproves what you just said.
But would you like to buy like 10,000 Gibsons and you would like to produce all the music you want with that
Sure.
money though?
Sure, but that doesn't prove your point.
Do you love music?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with
I mean,
what
but
you're
do you love
talking
music
about.
though?
Sure.
And when you produce music, can you just start out by doing just like making beats right away? But to do that, you need equipment to buy money with it, right?
Jay-Z started with his hand on the kitchen table rapping. I don't think you're not going to tell me this. It's just such a silly argument. Like, you need a lot of money to be happy. It just
You
doesn't
need to
work.
make-
Right?
Just to go back to your earlier thing, though, that you said, like, there are health issues, but there are studies, and it's happening all over, especially in the poorer countries, where health issues are catastrophic, where people, like, someone gets sick in your family, they die. How can you be happy? Because you didn't have money to send, your youngest kid to the hospital. Like, how can you be happy from then on? To move forward to that, like, money gives you opportunities, like education. Like, you asked, like, what would be my happiest memory? That would be like graduating from college. But to be able to graduate from college, my family had to spend some money for that. My happiest memories are also like spending time with my family, but abroad. And I wouldn't have been able to travel if I didn't have money. So I think like the very basic, you do need like at the very least education, to be able to actually improve yourself. Like if you want a fulfilling career, you may not be able to do money, but to get to that, you do need some sort of money.
Okay. Well, on her point, I want to take a little break right now, and let's take it to the streets of Seoul and see what people thought about this issue.
아기를 키우려면 아무래도 경제적인 게 조금은 뒷받침이 돼야지 되니까 없으면 아무것도 못 해주잖아요.
돈이 없어도 가족이 있으면 행복할 것 같아요. 예. 부수적인 거지 주가 되는 건 아닌 것 같아요.
돈이 있어야지 맛있는 것도 먹을 수 있고 뭐 여행도 갈 수 있고 뭐 가족들끼리 뭐 사고 싶은 것도 살 수 있고.
돈이 없어도 어차피 가족만 행복한 거니까 뭐 돈은 없어도 돈은 보면 되는 거니까 뭐.
나는 돈이 많지 않지만 행복해라고 생각하지만 어쨌든 그것도 그 사람 생활할 만큼의 그 생활비가 있으니까 그렇게 생각하는 것 같아.
마음이 행복해야지 돈만 있어가지고 무슨 소용이 있어. 돈 있어도 못하는 것도 있어.
그래도 돈이 있어야지 병원도 가잖아요. 돈이 없으면 병원도 못 가요. 그러면
돈이 필요하기는 하겠지만 사람의 감정이나 생각한다는 것 자체를 돈으로는 살 수 없다고 생각을 해서.
So it seems like the people on the streets of Seoul, or more accurately, inside a shopping mall, are quite divided on this issue as well. Contrary to our online poll, for the street survey, it was more 50-50. It was quite even. I don't know if that surprised you more than the online poll and what you thought about some of those comments that people were making.
What were they doing in the shopping mall? Were they spending money?
They
Oh,
went
Spending
for the
time with
aircon.
family.
Or just looking around. You didn't need money to do that.
I shop.
Well, I was kind of surprised again that people there, they brought up the hospital thing again. And that was one of the main points that I saw that was coming up at, and I think, obviously, I'm not going to argue that you don't want to have money in a situation like that. But for the whole life leading up to that, you use the cancer example, or if your parents had to go to the hospital. I mean, the point of life is the living part, right? And for that, I mean, hopefully you can live to a ripe old age. But at that point, I mean, if you're not happy and fulfilled and learning who you are and valuing your relationships more than your money, valuing your experiences and your knowledge of yourself more than your wealth, then you're not going to be happy even if you have enough money to buy a good treatment. To me, it puts
And
like...
money can't buy you health, can it?
No, definitely not. I see like...
No, I mean, it can buy you a trainer, but it can't buy you health, no, obviously.
Someone who is sick, who has money and is sick, is as sad as someone who is poor and sick. I think sickness is the same pain.
But Nachi, actually, I wanted you to address Charles's point that it's not just the rich people who are committing suicide or choosing to end their lives because of despair, right?
Yeah, but it's not helping them neither to not commit suicide. the question
Come
is,
again?
does money make them happy, or can they buy happiness with money?
Okay.
Well, obviously they couldn't.
Let me tell you
That's
one
why
thing,
they committed
dude,
suicide.
Yeah, we're not arguing that
Guys,
rich people are sad.
I
That's
know.
not the argument.
I'm going to talk about the whole health issue again because I have an experience with that. When I was a teenager, until becoming a teenager, I was born in a very well-class family, and my father had a bankruptcy 3 times in a row. And living in the poverty was very, very difficult. And I had this airborne infection called superbug. And, in US, insurance, the whole insurance and healthcare are very, very up there. You have to spend a large amount of money. And when I was hospitalized for 2 months, not going to school, and my parents being bankrupt at that time, it was a massive amount of debt that we owed. And those the creditors, they're calling your house all the time, when are you going to pay money, when are you going to pay money, when are you going to pay money? And now that we think about it, it was the most depressing time. And my father and my mother were very stressed, and they were pointing, sometimes when they're getting into some negative arguments, they're sometimes pointing fingers at me, why did you have to be sick at that time, And now that we think about it, we're all, saying sorry to each other because we kind of made it up. We paid all that debt back, and we were like, oh, finally. Now we're released of happiness. And we became a little bit more happier when that all happened. I mean, it took so long to take care of all that debt and work hard. But then once that was paid off, it was like, whew,
well,
finally.
I think.
And guess what though? That money that we borrowed cured me.
Yes, but in that case, I would say in money there's a component, of course, like it can solve problems. But if buying happiness was as simple as money, I mean, wouldn't we all just be pursuing money wholeheartedly?
Exactly.
Like it's a much bigger whole than that. And I think it's the development, your spiritual side, knowing yourself, having relationships, knowing who you are, and progress. Money isn't the only measure of progress. It is quantitative, but it's not qualitative. It doesn't measure your quality of life. The money doesn't give that meaning. Like everyone at the table knows that. If you don't already have that, it doesn't mean that having money doesn't give you happiness. It just means it's not the key. It's not the answer.
Back when I was in living States, I didn't have a lot of income and my family was struggling. But when I moved to Korea for a vacation for the first time, I just didn't leave because I was making enough, more than what I used to make back in States. So I just decided to stay here, make a living here. And I'm doing fine now. But you know what though? I became more happier living in Korea than when I was in US.
I know some people who actually came to Korea. They were making good money, but because they were missing their family, they didn't feel they are happy, so they had to go back and quit their jobs here, although it was a very good job. So if you think money is more important than family, of course you're going to be happy.
But that money could support your family though. I know a lot of people who miss their families too. But guess what? They make money and send it over to families.
Yeah, it depends on what you think.
Andrew,
yeah, so I have exactly your opposite experience. I came from Sweden, earned 5 times more than I'm earning in Korea, but I was happier here because I found I enjoy their culture here. I enjoy their food much more, and I chose what makes me happier. Being in Korea with less money, but with a much happier social life that I was having in Sweden.
Less money, less sleep in general.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Just so happy.
I think that still goes back to the question that the opportunity for Korea opened up to you because you had some level of money. You had some part of education. You had some security that if things fail in Korea, you have somewhere to go back to.
Yeah, I agree.
not
I
going
came
to
here
be-
as an exchange student through a program which was graduate school and universities free in Sweden, but in my program was a lot more people on scholarships for
So they
undeveloped
paid
countries
for you.
too.
So you didn't have to spend money, right? They paid for you.
Yeah, I had to pay also for my
But then,
living costs
but then,
here.
but then also they paid
But
for
then
you.
they had a
Of course you can't
system
live for
for
Scholarships, scholarship people say, look, I earned scholarships too. I didn't have to spend a dime in university. But guess what? The sponsor, I would call them sponsors or government, who paid for me, they paid that for me. And I was happy. I was happy. I didn't have to spend money. Somebody paid for me.
Okay. Well, it seems like the argument, in my opinion, is slightly leaning towards the no team. I don't know if it's just me, but I think it'd be a good time right now. It might be a good time right now to regroup your arguments, come back with some stronger arguments. It's time to head back into the arguments, okay? Okay.
spend money on experiences which improve your life.
If you lack money, like it can be a major cause of divorce.
The world right now is pretty much being controlled with money.
So if you have money, you can just experience more of what the world has to offer.
I'd rather fly, first class rather than economy.
More money, more problems. It's greater responsibility.
If you are working really hard to get more money, that means that you are missing other things.
Right.
And you will always compare yourself to people who have more.
A lot of the wealthy people that I know, not all of them, but many of them, do not consider themselves.
Can you imagine, like, when you grow old and you retire and you look back and all you remember yourself doing is working to get more money?
So what makes you happy, and can money make you happier? That's the topic that we're discussing this week on Shooters. Just a little anecdote. Warren Buffett, who you all know and is one of the wealthiest people in the world, once quoted the saying that success is about getting what you want and happiness is about wanting what you get. And for him, he has said, of course, that happiness means more to him. But money and happiness, what kind of relations do they have? And now that you've geared up again in the armories, I wonder what your arguments are going to be.
I'm trying to figure out.
No, you always start. Let me start on this one.
I'm still trying to figure out that quote.
Dude, you've been here longer than I.
Okay,
like,
Charles,
no.
you're in charge.
I'll graciously allow you to
Thank
begin.
you. Having more money and spending it in the right way is a higher class of experience, I believe. It's easier, faster, healthier, better, cleaner, nicer, more beautiful, more comfortable, more delicious. There's nothing sad about what I just said. Really, there's nothing sad. It's better service, it's so much comfortable. For example, I used to go to Busan for a business trip, and I used to go by bus. That took 6 hours, maybe in traffic, 8 hours. But nowadays, I go by KTX first class, and it's faster, so much better, so comfortable, and I'm saving time, and it just feels more comfortable. Like when I'm sitting in those back buses, I'm like, that kind of like hurts a little bit. But then when I'm
hurts?
Yeah, because the seats are very like uncomfortable and I didn't like it. What are you trying to say?
No, I mean, to follow it up, like it's a question of like, given if you have enough money, would you choose economy over first class? I mean, would you be happier in economy over first class?
But what do you say to those surveys that say actually past a certain point, your enjoyment of those luxuries, of the first class, of those experiences actually diminishes?
Yes, but then it still spikes up. It still goes up.
I still think it's sad if what you achieve in life is just money.
And there's a lot of problems that wealth brings too. I'm not saying that wealth means you won't be happy, but okay, fine, the bus hurt you and the first class feels good.
It's like,
I know. It was cramping your style, but
smells bad too.
But more money, definitely, with more money comes more responsibility. I'm sure you feel that in your business. More people are looking to you. If you fail, then your employees are going to fail as well, right? You have to provide for other people. Greater responsibility, although oftentimes a good thing, does lead to greater stress. Greater stress becomes a health problem. It's one of the biggest health problems in North America is stress, right? It leads to like a ton of health problems. And then also there's relationships. So on the health side and the relationships side, there's strains. People look at you differently. Your friendship, the way that your society that's around you, your friendships will change if you have a huge income jump. People expect different things of you. Like my wealthy friends, they talk a lot about how their friends expect them to pay. It strains relationships. Sometimes money can break friendships. And this is another, it doesn't always, but this definitely proves the point that money does not buy happiness,
so
and money doesn't
sometimes
lead
become
to it.
suspicious of your friends or people who approach you.
Definitely.
Maybe they're
expect more
your
for
money.
you as a
But
richer
then
person.
I don't think that's essentially a problem with the money. There's some underlying issues between that. But then money can cause stress to relationships as well. Like for instance, a lot of divorce happens because of money problems. Like if you,
a lack of, and also if you have a lot, if you're
Exactly.
fighting over the money.
If your wife is
right?
greedy,
Marjoram,
then-
I mean, you have to admit
But then
that.
you look at the your
That's not
Let the woman speak.
so you're newly married and you're just starting up. You don't have money. You're worrying about where your rent is coming from. Instead of like spending time with each other, you're at each other's throat. So like
That's interesting. The biggest cause of divorce in Sweden is Facebook.
That's a funny
Sweden
fact.
is a very special country.
I remember. Have you ever
And
seen?
then after that, then you're starting to
Have
get
you ever
greedy.
seen Sarah McLachlan's TV commercials? You know, like all these depressing songs and all this poverty in
I haven't
Africa.
seen this.
They put the most saddest songs. Like,
Well, because it is sad.
it's sad. It's sad because they're showing the images. It makes you feel sad. And you know what? People they donate money, and they feel happy. I saved those 10 children. And you know what? Currently, I do donate for World Vision and UNICEF, and especially
But
for my
here-
church. But guess what though? When I donate, I feel happy because
Exactly.
I feel happy to help them. And you know what? They needed my help. They needed your help. They needed
it's
everyone's
unfair.
help.
You're not feeling happy because you are getting richer. You are feeling happy because you are giving money.
To help them.
Exactly.
Money is the main issue.
Even if you are
have
not,
money.
even if you are not getting richer.
Well, let me tell you though,
still can
3 years
feel
ago,
happy.
I could not help my friend, and he was in a very deep financial situation. He was asking everyone, dude, are you my friend? If you're my friend, please help me, support me. I told him, if I could even take off that light bulb to sell that, to give it to you, I would do that for you. I'm your true friend. But right now, I got nothing. I'm so sorry. But then now, if any of my friend, a true friend, comes up and asks me, I really need your help right now, Charles.
But if he had a lot of money, Charles, how do you know if he's a true friend and if he's in truly
Good point.
need,
And
or
also-
he just kind of wants you for your
Because he
money?
knows you have
Very true.
If he's my true friend, I know that guy. I know
Yeah, but-
him. I've been.
But they'll look at
you
you.
would
But the
know.
point is, this goes back to what I was saying.
But
That
to
would
know
make
the fact that I
that
helped them,
person.
that makes me happy.
Yeah, but that would make them look at you different.
But to
Charles,
know-
if you had that money, people around you would look at you differently, and that would be a very loaded and a very different question. And wealthy people have to deal with that day in and day out. Is this my friend? Is this not my friend? And also just happiness as a friend. Relationships bring us happiness. I have friends that have tough times financially. It doesn't mean that I can't help them just because I don't have money to give them. I can help them in a million other ways. What can we do? What opportunity can we find for you? What small thing can I do to help you? And to me, that's the point. It's not giving someone a
main
fish.
issue,
It's teaching.
Danny,
Let me finish, Charles.
okay.
Hold on. It's the saying. It's don't just give someone a fish. Teach them how to fish.
This is the
Right? It's the
basic-
same thing. Money is kind of more that shallow, easy fix. Here, fix it. You don't have this. Well, it's not that easy. It's more about teaching meaning. It's more about building relationships. It's more about knowing who you are. Do you understand what I said?
I understand what
There's
you're
a little
saying.
bit. There's a little bit deeper.
Do I have to press plus for his
Minus.
minus? Okay,
Those
I agree
things
with.
are important, but they neglect the simple fact that money is a component of happiness.
Yes.
And it's a very important component in increasing the happiness of people. Now, it seems like a lot of the time you're talking about super rich people or exorbitantly wealthy people. And that's not even necessarily what we're talking about. There's certain facts of what money does that do make us happy. So spending the money that you have on experiences, whether it's a holiday or a concert, right? These are verifiable things which improve your level of happiness in your life. You're paying for experiences which enrich your life and increase your experience of the world, okay? So experiences that you spend money on increase your happiness, they improve your life. You've talked about traveling, various other things, but spending money on those things, that's a fact, that does make you happier. Now also this idea about spending money on your friends or spending money on other people, whether it's by donations or something simple, but buying your friend lunch or dinner, that will make you happier. You are using your money in such a way that it is increasing your happiness. And there have been a lot of studies which show that, right? So whether you're donating to a charity...
Barry, you don't need to be rich to do those kind
No,
of things.
exactly.
That's the
That's
thing.
exactly right.
Well,
But
that's
you
his
are
point.
using
That's his
your
point.
money. So
Exactly.
whether you're rich or poor,
But I
whether
don't-
you're Warren Buffett giving 99% of your
money.
billions,
I don't think
or you're
so.
donating
Does
1
money
I don't
make
think
you
so.
happy?
It's not the
Okay,
How
four
much you got?
conversations at once.
I don't-
Barry, you can start, and then Angie, you can finish.
Can I just mention something? It seems
Okay.
that we are neglecting a basic fact. Money is just a tool. It's what we do with it that makes us happy or not.
You're
Exactly,
exactly
it's the
right.
Everyone-
action.
everyone
not the
agrees
money
on that
itself.
point.
If you're God as helping someone, it's the action, not here's my money, now you're happy.
So you can be rich and
But using your money to do that is what makes you
If I
happy.
didn't have money and I would make my friend happy, I don't know, we can share the blanket. So we're
Exactly.
both, that's the action.
But nevertheless, having money, okay, if we all went out for dinner and I said, hey guys, I'll pay. Okay,
The dinner
that
example
would
again.
make me happy.
Well,
right?
if I
That's
didn't
it.
have-
so you
if
might
I-
not like it, but that's a fact.
But Barry, if
so
I
you're
didn't have
using-
money and I'd say, hey guys, let's have dinner, I'll cook with what I have home, wouldn't you be happy
I
too?
would be super happy.
But here, let's put it
But
at the
you'd
more
still be
basic
super
level. Like you right now, and you plus $10,000. Which is happier? Where would you be
I
happier?
would be happy with even less.
No, happier.
Right now,
Less than 10,000?
You have.
Yeah.
How much would make
No,
you
here's
happy?
the
Why are you
thing.
saying
Seriously,
happier? That's a part of being...
I don't.
How much
feel
would
like,
you be happy?
Right now,
10,000 is a random number.
No, just let me say this.
And good luck with your life.
Right now, I feel I have everything I need. I don't need anything else. Even if I have $10,000 right now, I would probably give it away because I don't need anything to buy anything.
Man, what are you,
I don't
Bob
need
Marley?
a car because like the transportation system here is quite good.
But you still need money for subway.
Rastafari.
Yeah.
Naji, you must admit you're special in that way,
No,
right?
there's a lot of people
Really?
like this.
I mean, your teammates. If someone handed you $10,000, no conditions, nothing, you would say no. Sorry, don't
I
need
would
it. I'll donate it.
if
But
I was
even
to
then,
receive
let someone answer.
if I was to receive money, yes. Like obviously I would be happier.
Yeah.
I would also say I'm a happy person. I have a calling. I have a life that I love, and I work on myself. I spend a lot of time with my friends. Money would just contribute to my happiness in that case. I think if you give money to a miserable person or a depressed person or
Okay,
someone
but
who's
Danny, your
lost
answer
in
is
life.
it would make you happier.
For me, but it's a really important point in our argument is, to me, is money's not solving something. I was saying it before. It brings things out. It's a magnifier of things. For someone who's already happy,
Yes.
money might add to that happiness. For someone who's not, it's not necessarily going to
Yes,
make
but
them happier, and
having
that's
that-
a very
Where does that
difficult
put Naji
argument.
then?
So sorry.
Well, he's
already
special.
happy.
Guys, I have to stop you right there because we've hit bullseye. So we reached bullseye, but it's a tie.
Oh.
Maybe not a big surprise and maybe a sigh of relief on both sides, but perhaps it's only natural given that we have many cultural differences and also different standards when it comes to money or how much money we need to be
Definition of happiness.
satisfied
And also
and
different-
secure as well.
Personal experience.
Right. So we need to come up with a statement, of course, that can really capture what we think about this
I'll
issue.
go for it.
So let's go for it.
Regardless of cultural differences, we do need to accept that there are things we can use money for that do increase happiness.
Yeah, it's definitely a tool. That's for sure. It's a tool that can improve your life. No one can deny that.
And you know, it
But-
can't be the end all. It can't be your end goal.
Exactly.
Okay.
So-
So it's a tool, but not
It shouldn't
an
be
end
a
all.
purpose.
It's
the
not
only
a
purpose
guarantee.
in your
It's not a
life.
guarantee.
Yes.
It's not because like we discussed in the arguments, there's no promise that money is going to lead to that, right? Happiness, like you were saying, Barry, happiness. There are many other things that are involved in what that is for our life, right?
Like the song "Can't Buy Me Love," Barry, right? If I'm that
The
famous.
Beatles always bring me happiness.
So money can be a tool, but it definitely can't buy a lot of things that we hold dear and what we hold pivotal to our happiness, of course. Okay, so the statement we
I'll
would
go
have
for
to
it.
create,
Yeah. Which camera do I have to look at?
Well, you
That
can
one?
first mention it to us and see if everyone agrees with it, Charles.
I want to just stand up and just say it. Money is a tool that can make you happier, but not guaranteed. There you go.
Shooters, do you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, Charles. Delivered in
time.
style. Okay, so this week Shooters asked, can money buy happiness? And Shooters answered, money can be a tool to greater happiness, but it's no guarantee. And let's also remember that the word origin of money, moneta, also creates or contains the meaning of warning, that money can also create happiness, but also create lots of problems as well. So we need to spend it wisely, as with any tool. Thanks for joining us for another week of Shooters, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.